Hello, and it's really nice to see you again. Now, the recent tabling of the 2012 budget obviously means a lot of things to a lot of people, but what we are going to do here today on In Realty is to actually try to nail down what does the 2012 budget means to the local property market. And I'm very happy and very lucky to be able to be here in the very busy PwC office, because I'm here with Jennifer Chang, the Executive Director of PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Hello.
Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me, and it's nice to see you again after the budget very recently. Okay, so let's begin with trying to have a blanket image of what does the budget, how will it impact the local property market, both from the perspective of the market itself as well as for buyers.
Okay, well, as far as Budget 2012 is concerned, the government has actually introduced quite a broad range of incentives to businesses as well as to individuals, the house buyers. If you're looking at businesses, as part and parcel of the government economic transformation program, that is actually to accelerate the turning of Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur specifically into an international financial district. So to this end, they've actually come up with incentives to promote the Kuala Lumpur International Financial District area by giving income tax exemptions of 100% to people who actually locate themselves within the Kuala Lumpur International Financial District area.
Right.
On top of that, they've also given stamp duty exemption for these companies in terms of their loan agreements as well as service agreements, and for people who actually develop, in other words, the property developers who develop the buildings within the Kuala Lumpur International Financial District, they've been given 70% exemption for 5 years as well.
Just for the sake of clarity, when we talk about the Kuala Lumpur International Financial District, what are the areas that actually make up this KLIF?
This is actually a large area somewhere near Jalan Tun Razak. So that area has actually been earmarked for development, and it's actually going to be a joint venture between a company called 1MDB as well as a foreign party from the Middle East.
How do you see this affecting the property prices in the area in the short term?
Well, because this project is meant to be a 20-year project, yeah, with the first completion sometime in 2016. So in that sense, the impact may not be in the next 1 or 2 years, but obviously in the long run, KL property prices could actually increase in the long term, but it will actually also enhance the business community within Kuala Lumpur, because we're looking at attracting, of course, new players, new financial players to this centre. Government has also recognised that the capital markets play a very important role, so there is an incentive for a 10% withholding tax on REIT distributions being made to investors, and this 10% withholding tax is given to individuals as well as foreign institutional investors, and that has actually been extended until 2016. So it was going to be expiring, and they have actually further extended it to 2016.
Right.
So that is actually in recognition of the fact that we want Malaysia's property to be able to be put into REITs for investors, both local as well as foreign, to participate in, of course. Then, of course, on top of that, the government has also realised that tourism plays a very important role in Malaysia, and the government is obviously actually encouraging people to perhaps have more infrastructure, good infrastructure. So to this end, the budget speech actually announces that certain tourist areas, like for example Langkawi, will be further enhanced, upgraded services in terms of the property and the facilities, and the Peninsula Malaysia hotels, new 4 and 5 star hotels, will be also given tax exemption of 70%, or alternatively be given an investment tax allowance of 60% for the next 5 years.
Again, this impacts the market in the sense that more attention is being given, and
that's right.
The more you build, the more you get from the government.
Yes.
In that sense.
Yes, and this is part and parcel of the whole purpose of, I would say that, turning Kuala Lumpur as a vibrant city.
Of course,
because
yes.
I think studies have shown that a lot of foreign investors would like to put money as well as live in a city that is vibrant. Now, on top of that, of course, the not so good news is that there is actually an increase in the tax rate for real property gains tax.
Yep.
I think that's part and parcel of the fact that a lot of people have actually said that the property prices in Malaysia have actually increased quite a bit over the past few years. And regionally, if you have a look at our neighbouring countries as well, you tend to find that property prices have also been going up.
Yes.
So as a result of which, they have increased the rate. Currently, the rate is actually, if you dispose a property within 5 years of ownership, you pay a real property gains tax of 5%.
5%, right.
But if you actually sell the property after 5 years of ownership, it's actually zero. So what the government has actually done is to say that from 1st of January 2012 onwards, this rate will be 10% if you sell the property within 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years of ownership. But if you held the property for more than 2 years and under 5 years, it is still the 5%. Anything above 5 years is zero.
So, to what effect does this have to the market? Why do we see this as something that needs to be done?
Well, I think it's because it's noted there's actually a lot of speculation. The property market, obviously, the prices have actually been increasing because people with the funds obviously get into the market and obviously hold it, and after it's been developed and ready, they will actually sell it for a profit because the price keeps going up.
Right.
So by having this 10% rate, it's hoped that the genuine buyers will actually be buying the properties perhaps for the longer term. And this is really just something to actually curb people from speculating.
Right, I see. But you've mentioned genuine buyers. I've been reading reports on the newspaper. Some of the things that has come up include, if you are indeed a genuine buyer, however circumstances requires you to dispose of your property before the 5-year period ends. Are there ways to go around this RPGT issue?
Yeah, sure. Those genuine buyers actually have got exemptions available.
Okay.
In the Real Property Gains Tax Act, there are actually provisions in there which says that everyone, you and I, every one of us, we actually have a once-in-a-lifetime election to actually exempt ourselves on one property.
Right, I see.
Yeah, so you could actually use that exemption.
But now that's one of the two main agendas, or rather main items regarding property that has caught the attention of many when we talk about the budget. One is the RPGT aggregated, so we understand that more now. But the other one, of course, is the My First Home scheme, where the ceiling price of the properties that fall within the scheme has been raised from 220,000 to 400,000. However, the property income maximum affordability property for the persons who is supposed to be eligible has not been increased. It still stays at 3,000. What's the logic behind this?
Well, I guess I think first and foremost, if you look at the property prices within Malaysia, especially in Kuala Lumpur and in the major cities, the prices have crept up. And as a result of which, if you're talking about a property nowadays, 400,000, it doesn't really get you very far, because a lot of properties are now a lot more, worth a lot more than that. So I would think that the rationale for actually increasing the limit is so that more properties are actually included as part and parcel of this scheme.
I see.
Yeah?
Now, but however, if you look at the very bare logics of it, a person who earns 3,000 ringgit will in no way be able to afford a 400,000 ringgit home, even if you took 90% margin of financing at say 40% interest, 4% interest rate over 30 or 40 years. It's still going to be at least 50% of said person's affordability or rather income.
Yeah.
How does that work then?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in the sense that to a certain extent, increasing the limit to 400,000 makes sense because properties nowadays are expensive. But on the other hand, if the person is only earning 3,000 ringgit, even if let's say it's a husband and wife, husband earns 3,000, wife earns 3,000, combined is 6,000. With a lot of the rising cost of living, as well as the commitments that a couple will have, sending kids to school, buying a car, that sort of stuff.
Daily commitments, yeah.
Daily commitments, you're going to find that it could be challenging to actually buy a $400,000
No,
house.
that's the thing that people probably missed. It's not just about that singular person, but you can actually combine it with
Yes.
a spouse.
That's right.
So a joint income of 6,000 ringgit entitles you for the scheme if you both earn 3,000 or less.
That's right.
I see. Okay.
That's right. And I think the couple who's actually looking into this obviously need to sit down and look at their finances. There are of course other ways of considering getting the funds as well. I think a lot of us know that EPF, you can actually withdraw money from the EPF to help with your repayments as well. So that perhaps can be combined together with whatever loans that you're taking to buy the house.
I see. Okay. Well, all right. Final question, Jennifer. Just as a general overview, what are your thoughts on, what has been dished out to us by the government through this budget 2012?
Yeah. Well, as far as the property market is concerned, obviously the government did emphasize a fair bit on it. It's actually quite holistic in the sense that it's actually focused on business in terms of the KL Financial District. It's also focused on, for example, the capital markets in terms of being able to put good properties into REITs in Malaysia and promote Malaysian properties investability to the investment market in Malaysia as well as outside Malaysia. But it has also actually looked at the individuals. There seems to be a lot of efforts in terms of making sure that people who have difficulty affording a house will get perhaps a chance to buy a house through various programs.
Like Prima and program Perumahan Rakyat and all that. Okay, so holistic is the word that we want to look at here. Yeah? Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure talking to you as usual.
Thank you.
That's it for me in the first segment. I hope you understand more how this budget is working to make your life better living as a Malaysian. You've been with me, Secretary Norma. In the second and third segment, as usual, Lina is going to take you somewhere special. So stay with us on In Realty.
Tap tap do 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 do, tap do 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 do, oh. Tap tap do 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 do, tap do 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 do, oh 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 oh. Tap tap do 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 do, tap do 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 do, oh.
Ia internet gentian dan wireless, panggilan percuma, hiburan tidak terhingga dan banyak lagi. Semuanya untuk kediaman anda. Ucapkan selamat datang kepada cara hidup baharu dengan Maxis Home.
Hi, thanks for tuning in and we are back on In Realty. On this segment, since we are on the green theme, I'll be taking you to a green bungalow called Impian Adriana, a lovely house perched on a hill. So here is the man who is responsible of designing this wonderful house. He is Mr. T.S. Yeo of Yeo Design. Thank you so much, Mr. Yeo, for making the time for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, Impian Adriana, I'm amazed by how it looks like inside, because from outside you don't quite can tell this is how it looks like.
Yeah.
So when you first put the pen and paper to conceptualize this wonderful house, what was in your mind?
Actually, we started from the interior of the space planning of interior together with the owner, and we work on that, and then from there we develop each individual space to interlock the whole space together. So the owner has certain sort of idea of what he's trying to do. Of course, certain idea may not work in that sort of direction. Actually, you have to sort of work in sort of way that that technically should be overcome, especially on the construction method of the whole building, and especially that we are stressed a lot upon these eco-friendly materials usage and the eco houses. So everything has to take into account of all the technical aspect of it, how to drain the water, how to get the passive cooling, and how to get the building to achieve the high impact of coolness within the environment of this interior space as well.
Since it has to be on the lines of eco-friendly, on the green theme.
Yes.
So talk to us, how do you play around with the layout, the space and the cross ventilation of this house?
Firstly, you got to understand what is passive cooling.
Okay.
Because I specialize in this area, because I did a lot of I did a research into that. We do a postgraduate course in this one, in particular to adopt traditional building to apply into the modern building concept.
Okay.
So that's where we advise the owner saying that certain area need to have cross ventilation. Without the cross ventilation, the building will not be cold, will not achieve the passive or achieve the thermal comfort for each individual actually. So that's where we plan in this manner the whole building.
Okay.
And as you can see that we have a lot of louvers integrated to allow air flows through the interior space, so that this building forever will not require sort of high usage of power supply.
Hence the high ceiling as well, right?
Actually, the building is not really high. Actually, we articulate to make it high.
Okay.
So when you look at it from exterior, it looks low.
Exactly.
But when you come in, you have a high volume of space because we never want to put ceiling inside there. So whatever the roof structure we use is all taken into account of the air evaporation actually, because most hot air will rise and cool air will be within certain levels. So that's where the understanding of how the building should work on it actually. Bearing in mind that this building is not just sit on the ground. This building is sit on layer of tire.
Yeah.
And this tire we have a specialist people to come in to deal with it actually.
You know, having the house up on a hill, so it's gonna be quite a challenge. It is quite a challenge of building a house on like a hill, contour of a hill, yeah?
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that?
We have gone through so many ways of transporting materials. We have also a lot of constraint, you know, on the manpower requirement. You know, we cannot simply go and get people to take up all this timber, take out this concrete, all this and that, you know. So we have to find ways, which means that we hire a crane, you know, for about 6 months, you know. Initially we thought about 3 months we can finish up all the loading of the whole thing, but in fact it went up to 6 months.
So talk to us about the materials used here for this house, and I can see a lot of timber.
Basically we want to use a lot of recycled materials. We have gone to various places looking around for railway steeper that we can adopt it, even for the terrace going down. See the roof itself, that we get all these materials, not just that, you know, get it from a simple sawmill. We have to, because we are very particular about recycled materials. So we want to make sure that whatever we take is durable, as well as can be accommodating to our budget that we have.
Okay,
as
that's very important.
Yeah, as well as we want to make sure that whatever we do is the aesthetic aspect of it should be achieved. So that's where we control everything in that way.
You have a wonderful door. Yeah. So that is also from a recycled material.
This door in particular, we were traveling to view one factory in Tianjin, which is dealing with this green line, sort of a UPVC window and door. So we happen to be in Beijing, and I'm quite familiar with certain junk shop area actually. So we went with the owner and we look around and say in the freezing weather, you know, freezing cold winter. So we went in to all this store and look at it, and we find that certain element of it is quite ideal. And we talk about it. We say, okay, maybe that can be adopted for this area, that can be adopted for that area. So that's where we put all the jigsaw together actually to build up this whole building. So basically the main door is a recycled door. It's about coming to 200 years old.
Okay. So what can you advise our viewers, especially for those who are, you know, who have a dream house in their mind, but you know, ever so eagerly waiting to, you know, make it into a reality?
In most cases, right, most owners don't think they have an idea what they are looking for actually. Most of them. And most of them we say, okay, you just give a proposal, 2 or 3 proposals, and look at the design of this whole thing. But that is not the right way to go about on building your dream house. We call it the dream house.
Yeah.
You should have a dialogue, 1 or 2 sessions with the person who did the design for you, and discuss about it, what exactly you are looking for, what sort of vision that you have. The most important is a vision. If you don't have the vision, you will never achieve what you are looking for.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yeo. Well, there you go. 2 of among the most crucial points when putting that dream house into reality would be vision and communication. So if you want to know what smart cooling without really cooling the house is all about, stay tuned. Up next on In Realty.
The region's first PGA Tour event is back. Brought to you by CINB Group. Catch your favorite PGA Tour players live here in Malaysia from the 27th to 30th October. ASEAN welcomes the world's best golfers to the CINB Asia Pacific Classic Malaysia. For tickets and further details, log on or call us now. Another classic not to be missed.
Selcom mencetuskan Anugerah Industri Muzik ke-18. Buat pertama kalinya, program jelajah AIM 18 akan menemui anda di lokasi berhampiran bagi menghangatkan lagi debaran AIM tahun ini. Jangan lepaskan peluang bertemu dengan para finalis AIM 18 di samping pelbagai aktiviti dan hiburan hebat serta tawaran eksklusif Selcom menanti anda di lokasi-lokasi berikut. Jumpa anda di sana.
And we're back on In Realty. Like I said in the earlier segment, we're going to talk about how you can, maintain the house as cool as possible without really actually cooling the house and also without burning the hole in your pocket. So let us introduce this wonderful husband and wife team, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, Lincoln Lee, and also Lee Su Mei of Smart and Cool Homes. Yeah. So we'd like to know, since we are here and this house is, the foundation is of a Smart and Cool Home. So what is Smart and Cool Home all about?
Well, Smart and Cool Home is a very sustainable building. When we use the word sustainable, a lot of people mistaken it. Everybody who thinks that eco house or green house are actually more expensive. In actual fact, when you talk about sustainability, you are talking about using less resources today so that the future generation will then have the resources. So what we do in Smart and Cool Home, we change the methodology of building. That means the way of constructing it will be different from the existing building, which is very, very old, maybe about 1,600 over years old. Okay, we all know that the Roman invented the concrete, but in 400 AD. But the Malaysians are the ones that cools it down without using any source of energy. Once we don't use energy, that means we are able to take away the thermal mass in the concrete and bring it to somewhere else, which is down to the ground, which is a cooler area where the differential of the temperature is there. So for 1,600 years, mankind has never found a way to cool concrete until the Malaysians do it. And we both have done it. And she, my wife, is a physicist. So we all are talking about not magic but pure science. How we actually can conduct and transfer the heat from the concrete to the ground, which the tree has been doing for centuries, until mankind again came and chopped it down and heat up the place, climate change, and then coming to global warming. Well, my client, and Mr. Yeo client too, he has the vision to turn green. And he's committed and very passionate about it. They were saying that, are you sure you can cool down the house? Are you sure you don't need to use air conditioning? So they went to the house. I said, you come to the house. So they went to the house. I told them to take off their shoes, walk on the driveway, under the sun, very hot. And then after that, step on the grass next to it. The concrete is actually cooler than the grass.
Oh, okay. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
Because of the heat sink, the tires.
Okay.
So the whole methodology has changed structurally. And Mr. Yeo has actually improved it by giving all the timber, the feeling of very much with the nature. So at the end of the day, the structure cost is actually lower if you use this system than the conventional.
Okay, Lincoln, talk to us about how this system actually works.
Okay, I leave it to my dear wife. She's a physicist, a scientist, so it's best she says about how you get along.
Okay, the tires act as a heat sink because tires nowadays have multiple components in it. They are not purely rubber. So it has the capability to act as a heat sink, and it will draw down the heat from the house. That means from your foundation or from the walls, and it draws down the heat to the ground and dissipate the heat into the earth. That's how it's able to take the heat from the house and make the house cooler. But at the same time, the walls are insulated, and also we have methods to make the roof, and also the to make the roof cooler, and at the same time to cool down the concrete in the house. Yeah. Besides just the tires, there are also parts of the the floor slab that allows the heat to be dissipated faster.
Alright. So does it work in all sorts of structure?
Yes.
So when you say that it's not burning a hole in your pocket, is it actually true?
If you take a costing, I am a housing developer myself, and we do a costing. The saving of the whole house, actually, majority comes from the foundation. This house doesn't have any piling. It works on a box roof system. The heat sink is not the only thing that you need to do. For example, this roof is a Venturi action flow. It actually have a way to remove the heat in between the roof material and the ceiling.
Okay.
So that is on the roof. Then we have the AAC wall, but because we plaster the AAC wall to be very thin, or what we call a skin coat, that thin layer will bring the heat down from external wall and internal wall down to the tires, which is a cooler area. So in science, as she always say, heat travel from hot to cold. And it was so difficult to explain to people about how to actually tell people that heat travel from hot to cold, because most people say heat rises. To get that into the understanding of a mindset is very tough.
Yeah.
We only have one obstacle, and that is mindset.
Well, I'm afraid we're running out of time. Thank you so much, Lincoln and Sume. Well, you can do your bit too in saving the earth, or you can just visit the website www.smartandcool.net to find out more what Smart and Cool Homes is all about. So I'll see you again next week on In Realty.